So, babe, I have a trivia question for you. Coarse hair bravely protects the shaft from the erosive wind-beaten elements. Superstitions abound. This anatomical wonder is believed to have made noblemen out of nomads, a black gold finder of sorts, by serendipitously pointing desperate sandblasted caravans in the right direction. This Arabian sand tool has tirelessly dragged from oasis to oasis in a pilgrimage of hope. Can you guess what this is?
No.
Well, if you said camel's penis, congratulations.
What?
Testing, lick my sack. Alright, it's actually fucking working. Top 10 Sega Genesis games. There's a lot of good Genesis games in retrospect, now that everyone has had a chance to play all the ROMs and let the games marinate in their bones for years. People say things like, how can you leave Rocket Knight Adventures off your list? Well, it's fucking easy. We had a shoebox full of games, and that wasn't one of them. Back then, companies that had the money pushed their titles, good or bad. There was magazines at $5 a pop, shitty commercials at 6 a.m. during video power. I would set my alarm for 6 a.m. during the week to watch a few sneak previews and tips. Then I remember a Double Dragon 3 commercial that aired 3 times in a row, every commercial break because they obviously had no sponsorship, and you had the small 2 pictures and descriptions on the back of a box that serves merchandise, or whatever local retailer you had at the time. So this list is going to be compromised. I need a fucking beer. So this list is going to be comprised of what I personally remember, not in hindsight, not replay value now at 33 years old, where I buy games off eBay and Craigslist and say, bro, Truxton is a super cool shooter, here's the box. No, nobody had a fucking clue about half the now popular Genesis games. Genesis, when it came out in '89, not a lot of people had it yet. Sega didn't even have a fucking American marketing team yet. It sold like 500,000 units. By '91 it was outselling Super Nintendo, but the original NES was still top dog. This is shit you have to put into perspective. But Genesis came to be known for its sports games, specifically its sports talk games like baseball and Joe Montana football, and they were fucking $80. Back then, you like sports, you had a Genesis. That's another thing. None of these top 10 lists have sports games. I know you're nerds, but come on, what the fuck is wrong with your candy asses? Besides sports, the allure for me was also the dark, bloody games, the ones that got Tipper Gore's domesticated uptight ass all itchy, like Mortal Kombat. Being a parent and censoring your child's exposure to things is fine. Trying to censor and parent the whole country is not your place. I remember news stories on that, mortified of the fatalities. Kano's specifically, where he rips out his victim's heart. Back then, that was awesome. The combat system was terrible compared to Street Fighter 2. It was the digitized sprites and fatalities that put it on the next level. So with all that being said, let's get on with it. Number 10. Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. This game was fun because it incorporated... I'm just kidding. Number 10. Echo the Dolphin. The only game to lower your blood pressure and make you frustrated at the same time in some aquatic acquiescent paradox of emotion? Yes. Echo is in search of his pod, and I'm not going to go word for word with storylines of these games I choose, but I will lend a funny story. I'm drunk, by the way. When I was in high school around 97, my classmate Roman Arbuckle, a Russian immigrant, had a Sega Genesis as his latest console, which I found interesting. Anyways, I was selling him my old Genesis games, and I think he bought this game for me for like $15. Moving on. Number 9. Half jerseys, mullets, Jordan 4s, Joe Montana's Sports Talk Football too.
NFL Sports Talk Football.
Pat Summerall gave the play-by-play, and I remember this being on the big wooden encased dial TV, and visitors saying, "Wow, it looks like a real game." This was video sports never seen before, voiced by the legendary, all-familiar voice of football itself.
Intercepted at the 29. Hit at the 32. New York takes possession with 3:51 left in the first quarter.
It was epic. Number 8. Golden Axe. A co-op arcade port hack and slash that incorporates a lot of the D&D mythos. These early 16-bit arcade ports were the first taste of home arcade sexiness. It would be higher on the list, but much like two launch titles, Altered Beast and Last Battle, the controls are slow and lunky. In the early 90s, if you only had $1 going into the arcade, you got those 4 Torkin... fucking dick in my ass. In the early 90s, if you only had $1 going into the arcade, you got those 4 tokens and headed to Golden Axe, Outrun, or maybe Sunset Riders. They were all 1 token, decent amount of playtime, and not used, because the kids were lined up to blow their 50 cents a pop on Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. Which brings me to number 7. Mortal Kombat. The home console port finally allowed normal kids to hone their skills and practice those 1 or 2 fatalities they knew. What is in my fucking nostrils that makes me sound like someone is pinching my nose and fucking my balls? Holy shit. Okay. That was a nice booger. Moving on. I think I'm clear. Okay. The home console port finally allowed normal kids to hone their skills and practice those 1 or 2 fatalities they knew. When Mortal Kombat came out in the arcade, well, first let me talk about arcades back then, specifically the mall ones. They were the most packed. You had the kid who dragged his parent there. Generally, he's a 1 or 2 games and done kid who doesn't want to leave but mom got shit to do. Then you have the dad who dragged the kids there. There's the one playing skee ball and Then you have the dad who dragged the kids there. There's the... Fuck me with my spelling errors, you motherfucking faggot. Then you have the dad who dragged the kids there. They're the ones playing skee ball, and dad might finish it with pinball. You ask any 50, 60-year-old guy today about pinball, and they probably have a story. You have the guy who came in from the food court with no money just to be awkward and watch demos and leave his fucking cup on one of the machines. That used to piss me off so bad. You have the guy who's too old to be in there. Now, if he's playing pinball, that's fine. But if he's creeping around with no kids, stay away from that guy. But mostly you have someone playing and someone watching. Voyeurism at its best, right? Now, from these pics you might think these are friends or siblings. In some cases, yes, but a lot of the time, no. This is how it was back then. No personal space. This is how it was back then. No personal space in arcades. Some nerd will be right over your fucking shoulder watching, waiting for you to fuck up so we can play. Now, this is the kid to watch out for. The introverted kid who looks a little off. He's the one who knows all the moves, all the fatalities, and he's been on his 1 token for 2 hours. As the line of kids fighting him is a revolving door, don't play this fucking guy. He's the wizard. He didn't look up the moves, he just figured them out. Okay, so that's the mall arcade in the 80s, early 90s. A bit of a tangent there, but it's important to understand this list is only my exposure to games at the time, not how dated they are now. I played Mortal Kombat last night, and it felt like a stiff dick smacking me in the face with porno music and unforgiving difficulty. So obviously I loved it. I did love it. Number 6. Phantasy Star 2. Did I want to play it? Fuck yes. First game that cost $90? Hell no. The Phantasy Star games were still retailing for $80, $90 in the late 90s when people were well into Nintendo 64 and PlayStation. So, negative. Number 6 goes to Columns. Columns? Yes, Columns. Everybody had a grandmother or aunt who spoiled you with a gift. So they talked to your mom and they really tried, but this is who you got the present from. You were all excited because you knew it was a game. You opened it and this was the most disappointing fake smile you ever had to do up until this point in your life. Besides maybe when a kid punched you and you pretended it didn't hurt. But good news was, it's a great fucking game. Better than Tetris with no terrible headache from that tiny green screen with shitty Russian music. This had great music and colorful gems, where the concept was still new enough to add to and perfect a new genre. It put you in a nice trance and was a decent reprieve from getting your ass kicked by the difficulty of your other games. Listen, all your friends had a game no one else had because of Grandma or Aunt so-and-so. They had no idea what was good but sometimes hit the mark. This was one of those times. Number 5, Splatterhouse 2. I have a nice story about this one. And let me say that a little less gay. I have a nice story about this one. So the hack and slash movie genre was still in its cheesy prime, and this game was a violent side-scroller exclusive to Genesis. To me, this game showed Genesis was for teenagers and Nintendo was for kids. I rented this when it came out, and my friend James slept over. I was 12. He was 14. We were heavy drinkers, and I'm just going to keep going as you turn off the fucking light.
Sorry.
You can go ahead and turn that back on. Thank you. We were heavy drinkers at the time, but we're taking it easy. I didn't realize how fucking many goddamn words I wrote for this. You literally went to the store, came back, and I'm still not done reading this.
Oops, you did it last time. Holy shit, it's cold.
I know, but be quiet for a
Yes,
second.
you.
Thank you.
No.
He was 14. We were heavy drinkers at the time, but we're taking it easy. See, I just can't read. Oh, now with the latency, I have to wait till it starts recording. I'm gay. Okay, it actually is. Okay. Okay, let me see where I left off. I have a nice story about this one. Okay. We were heavy drinkers at the time, but we were taking it easy. That night was shaping into a normal... I need to get the fucking dick out of my nostrils. I feel like Falcor flying into Providence Town right now. I just got fucking dicks flying into my nostrils. Alright.
That part you should record.
I don't know. Maybe it's the cold, dry air, but my big fucking nose is just ruining my life.
Are you recording that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. That night was shaping into a normal teen sleepover night until I got bored of dying in the game. Shut the fuck up. This isn't the intro to some Buffy fucking TV show.
Like.
That night was shaping into a... Listen, just be quiet. Let me read my goddamn script. This is professional. We were heavy drinkers at the time, but we're taking it easy. That night was shaping into a normal teen sleepover night, if you know what I mean. Until I got bored of dying in a game and brought James a glass of vodka when he asked for a glass of water. Next thing you know, we drank a whole bottle, this is true by the way, a whole bottle of Cutty Shark whiskey, and he was laying in a bathroom with his hand in the toilet. I was hammered and went upstairs to wake up my older sister to take care of him. Anyways, point being, if the game was two-player or was a little easier to keep us occupied, we probably wouldn't have fell off the wagon. Case in point. But I still like the game, so I contradicted myself. Number 4. Misha, if you shit on the fucking floor, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you.
No, you won't. Liar.
Go lay down.
You give her a fucking high five and get her.
I will. Shit on my chest. Number 4. NHL 95. Sports games back then were the only games that were different every time you picked it up. Was I a hockey fan? No. Was this game fun as hell? Yes. I have more hours logged in this game than any other before World of Warcraft, swallowed 3 years of my life a decade ago. Two-player, obviously, creative player, injuries, season, stats, trophies, it was all there, fast-paced and fun. My cousin Jimmy and I would go at this game for hours. He had NHL 94 for Sega CD. NFL and NBA, I would beat him 90-0, so this was our sports game of choice. You know what? I should probably include punctuation in this, so I know where to add the emphasis on the syllable. It's a good thing.
Syllable?
Yeah. Number 3, Sonic 2. I remember November. Sonic 2.
You just pawed my fucking arm.
I remember November 92.
Like you did.
Listen, I'm recording. Number 3, Sonic 2. I remember Misha. Jesus Christmas. I remember Brittany.
I sing too much.
No one wants to hear you. I'm just gonna keep going because I don't feel like editing the fucking shit out of this. I remember November 1992. A game demo was set up in KB at the mall before the game was released. Teetering on a ledge, Tails was in this one. What the fuck did I write that down for? Anyways, I remember November 92, a game demo was set up in KB at the mall before the game was released. Skip this shit. Huge anticipation for Sonic Tuesday. Tuesday, get it? A little play on words. Misha, go fuck yourself. I'm recording. I believe I got it for Christmas and played the shit out of this game. Sonic is still the slowest piece of shit swimmer in the history of anything considered fast because of the slowdown. I thought you took her to go shit.
I took her to the store and I tried to make her shit, but
You didn't take her to shit before you went to the store?
I froze like a popsicle.
Put on a fucking jacket.
I had a jacket on. It's -18.
Number 2.
I'll fucking kill you.
So this spot was tough.
She won't shit in the snow. She loves the snow. It's like shitting on your favorite painting. She won't do it.
I would shit on the Mona Lisa if I had my cell phone to look at. Or a Sudoku puzzle. So this spot was tough for me because, like I said, I'm going by how I felt then. Castlevania Bloodlines, which might sound like a medieval fucking tampon. Misha! I remember renting it and going, who the fuck is Jim Morris from Texas and this Spanish dude? I love the game now, but back then, that broke tradition. Look how I spelled tradition right here.
Hopefully.
Triadidian. Sounds like a fucking three-pronged Greek abortion tool. And was enough to turn me off. But like Contra Hardcore, I should say, Stridar. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Great arcade port and exclusive, but Misha, get your fucking paw off of me. But we're talking instant wow factor. We're talking ninjas. And we're talking Revenge of Shinobi. Back then, ninjas were huge in pop culture, with a ton of bad movies. This game might sound like Stephen Hawking getting a lap dance in the back of a Chinese restaurant, but graphically it was a great, and Shinobi was stigmatically the Dark Horse. You know what? I shouldn't write words I can't even pronounce. And Shinobi was stigmatically the Dark Horse flagship character of Sega for older gamers who weren't head over heels for cutesy Sonic. And number 1. This is an obvious choice for me. Streets of Rage 2. The music sounded great, the graphics were great, the gameplay was great, and felt smooth. It was co-op, and definitely the best beat-em-up on the Genesis. Fun to play over and over. Replay value. This is an honest list of games I played a lot of then. Not now. Shit, besides 1 or 2, I don't even like these games now. This was me in fluorescent purple short Umbro shorts, Reebok pumps, and a Dream Team shirt. A simpler time. A better time, in retrospect. Thank you. Touch my